There's no place like the Cube. Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Aina DeShawn, with our queer news for today. Now, I want to make you a promise. We will continue to bring you the latest in queer news, culture, and politics every Monday by 7 a.m. Chicago time. So if you are digging our intersectional take on the weekly, consider joining the Q Crew. The Q Crew is our monthly membership program we started to help grow the podcast. You get weekly emails from me, exclusive interviews with LGBTQ influencers from across the country, and beginning this year, special behind-the-scenes footage too. With your support, we can bring you more stories celebrating our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and comrade communities. Click the link in the show notes to join the Q Crew today. Don't have $5 to join the Q Crew? It's okay. There's things you can do for free. You can rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app and tell a friend. Or two. Family, this is your favorite queer radio personality, Aina DeShawn here. And if you're listening to this sponsor spot, that means it works. That means these ads can work. And we've got some amazing Pride specials coming up for all of our episodes in June. I want you to check out the link in the show notes. We got $15 shout outs on the podcast. We'll give you a shout out on the podcast and on Instagram. And if you want to get one step further, we can do Instagram, TikTok, and the podcast. Let's go. Support queer media and buy a Pride ad today.
You are now tuned in to higher frequencies. We do this frequently. Turn your radio station to E3 for that decency. Listen to great music and the latest movement. Safe listening for anyone that's tuned in. Who you waking up to? Aina DeShawn, Q Crew and friends. It's that real talk. Online radio with the spins. You caught up in traffic, frustrated. Just check in with E3 to shift your vibrations and get elevated. That's queer radio done right. Choose to be yourself. That's the only way to live life, and that's how it's done here. Just know y'all tuned in to the greatest. Ain't no competition. We ain't worried about the other stations. Check.
Family, we are doing something special this week. We're kicking off Feed Swap Fridays. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. So, what is Feed Swap Fridays? I am happy to tell you, Feed Swap Fridays are an opportunity for us at Queer News to introduce you to a podcast we think you'll really enjoy. What I promise is that they will always be very queer. And so this week, we are doing a feed swap with the Queer Family Podcast. I had a chance to talk with their host, Jamie, about the pod and this episode. Take a listen.
So the Queer Family Podcast is a show all about family, but with gay. That's our twist. That's the catch. And our mission is to uplift, highlight, normalize queer families, letting the whole world know that despite the fact that we work really, really, really freaking hard to make our very intentional families, we are also just like every other parent out there trying not to yell at our kids when they haven't put their shoes on and we are 25 minutes late for school already. And that's it. That's how it goes.
That part. I love it. And this episode that we're going to play on Friday, what's it about?
All right. So this episode is from season 11. Yeah, we are 11 seasons in.
Okay. She a vet, y'all. Okay.
It's been a while. It's been a minute. It's the two mom Browns. You might know them from Instagram. They're a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful couple who have documented their entire journey to getting pregnant on Instagram, and they're an interracial lesbian couple. They're raising donor-conceived boys. They used an at-home insemination kit to create them. It's a beautiful story, and these two are actually just gorgeous humans inside and out. I freaking love them. I love them.
There you go.
It's a good story. Yes.
There you go. So, family, you got to tune in to Feed Swap Friday this Friday to hear this dope episode from the Queer Family Podcast.
Yes, please. Enjoy. Enjoy.
Now for the news. Today, we're changing it up. Instead of our normal politics, culture, and entertainment stories, I'm giving y'all an exclusive interview. I had the opportunity to interview Tre'vell Anderson, an award-winning journalist, social curator, and world changer who always comes to slay, honey. You better know it. They were named to the Roots 2020 list of 100 most influential African Americans. Okay. They have dedicated their career to centering those in the margins, gray spaces, and at the intersections of life through a pop culture lens. Currently, Tre'vell co-hosts 2 podcasts because Tre'vell stays busy, okay? Crooked Media's What a Day and Maximum Fun's Fan Time. I actually met Tre'vell at the National Gay and Lesbian Journalism Association conference. That's a whole mouthful and another mouthful, but it's the conference where we met. And you'll hear more about it in the actual interview, okay? But we began following each other on social media, and I became an even bigger fan of their work in the world. Tre'vell is dropping their first book tomorrow, May 9th. So you can go and pre-order today. Let's show Tre'vell the power of the Queer News Podcast, okay? Go and do those pre-orders today. And if you listen to this pod after Tuesday, just go buy the book. It's called We See Each Other, a Black trans journey through TV and film. Yes. During this interview, we talk about their time growing up in church, okay? We talk about their interviews with the Andre Leon Talley. Yes. And why writing this book about Black trans life in movie and film is so important to them and so important to the world. Family, I know this is going to be a little bit longer of an episode than normal, but I know it is worth it. Tre'vell is a star, and I hope that you all go out and support this book. And don't forget, Feed Swap Friday. It's an exciting week, family. Catch me on social media for all the stories we didn't cover in this week's episode. Peace. Family, this is your favorite queer radio personality, Aina DeShawn here, and I'm excited to bring you another exclusive interview. And this one is actually really, really special because Tre'vell is special, okay? And if you don't know Tre'vell, that's okay, because you're going to get to know them today. All right, they are an award, period with a T. They are an award-winning journalist, okay, critic, podcaster, worked for Out Magazine. Let me just go on for a little ages, okay? Out Magazine, the LA Times, okay? You've seen Tre'vell's work on the covers, okay, of such places like Essence, okay? They've written for Teen Vogue, Washington Post, the Esquire, Time Magazine. Tre'vell is the business and truly a treasure. We got to meet at the National Gay Lesbian Journalism Association. Just get all of the words in there. When it was here in Chicago. And I'm so glad we got to meet. Tre'vell, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. So glad to be here. Those IRL connections do matter. Shout out to us. And I guess shout out to NLGJ. I don't know. I be wanting to fight them from time to time. Anyway.
That's a whole nother show.
Listen,
and I'm glad you got the acronym because, child, I do not, okay? I be like the gays with the journalism association.
Y'all know what she mean. Y'all know what it is.
You already know what it is. And also, Tre'vell is going to get me into the National Association of Black Journalists, too. I'm going to work on getting on NABJ. But today, I'm excited to have Tre'vell on because Tre'vell, on top of all the things I just said, and child, I didn't even mention the people that they've interviewed over the years, some of your favorite stars on the planet, period. They are now an author as well. And so today we're here to talk about your very first book, We See Each Other. Come on, author.
Each other. Yes, We See Each Other, a Black trans journey through TV and film, out May 9th, available for pre-order wherever you get Slayworthy books, okay? And where you get bad books, too. That's fine. You can find it everywhere.
Everywhere. And you need to get it. I believe what I really love, because I did get like my own copy, which is really dope as being a media person. I mean, if you've ever thought about being in the media, these are some of the perks. You can kind of get something before everybody else gets to see it. What I think is really beautiful about the book It's that you're giving this historical context around trans life and media and film and television specifically, also giving people recommendations and this viewing guide that kind of goes through the experience. I got a lot to catch up on. Even though I feel like I've seen a lot of gay, queer stuff in my life, there's still so much I have not seen or heard about. So tell me, why did you want to add this piece of work into the canon of LGBTQ queer?
Yeah.
Why was this one important for you?
That's a great question. And I think the answer really lies in the fact that, there are so many contributions of trans wondrousness that aren't regarded as canonical at all for a variety of reasons, right? Some of those are legitimate trans characters, right? That we have seen on screen, largely, poor depictions, stereotypical depictions seeping in tropes. But even in some of those tropes, right, some of us found representation, some of us felt held and reflected back on screen. And it was important for me to basically assert kind of, first and foremost, my own personal history of my gender journey and identity formation as filtered through a number of these, films and TV shows that we will talk about and that I explore in the book, but also hoping that that can be in service of some other Black person or trans person or non-binary person having some sort of reference point for themselves and their own journeys before Pose, before Laverne Cox, before, Chaz Bono, if that's your generation, right? Oftentimes it seems as if our history as trans people, not only in this country, but on this planet, began with Laverne Cox on Orange is the New Black or Chaz Bono. But there's a very long history of existence that we would term and define as trans today, right? That happened in life and in culture and in communities across the globe, but also on screen in ways that challenged various conventions at the time in which they, came about. So I wanted to do a book that would have all of that, but you get a whole lot of my own personal story in it. And, it's got a little razzle-dazzle on top because I wanted folks to be able to, have this history, this context for this particular moment of trans visibility that we are living through and backlash to trans existence that we are living through, while also hopefully starting some own conversations within your own individual minds about how you have seen, grappled with, wrestled with, or not, images of trans folks in broader culture. I ultimately was watching a whole lot of transphobic, anti-trans, very problematic narratives. And I was like, why am I forcing myself to re-traumatize myself and unsettle all of these, angst that I have as a trans person moving through this world? And then that's when I decided to just center myself in my experience and the complexities therein a lot more. And I think the result, right, is a book that yes, it's a book about trans history and visibility on screen, but I talk about Medea in this book. I talk about RuPaul and drag in this book. I talk about all these other things that, I think are related to the conversation of trans visibility, but folks might not necessarily automatically place them because of the complexities of language and identity. So, I hope
100%. I saw. Yeah, and I think what's going to happen is that people will begin to see themselves in you as they read the book. And so I'm so glad that you did put yourself in it and that you followed the gut that said, I have more to say than just the history of this thing and not just the fact of what this thing is and how it was created, but also how I came to this piece and why it meant something to me or why it informs all this other work that happened. And so you talk about Medea and RuPaul. When Flip dressed up as that character and it was a comedic thing, and how does that translate when we talk about real trans folks' lives?
Yeah.
And how folks interact with them in life, and how that was set up on television?
Yeah, the thing that just comes to mind for me, and this is, it includes Philip Wilson as Geraldine, it includes Tyler Perry as Medea, it includes Martin Lawrence as Shanae and Big Mama.
Oh,
it
snaps.
includes Eddie Murphy as all the women he's dressed up with. And, may I add, it also includes the Instagram influencer who puts on a wig as a character. Right, for comedic purposes. It's all connected.
I mean, I hadn't even thought about Martin Lawrence character. Shanae is just, it's an iconic role that I grew up with.
Absolutely is, right? But when you look at those characters and the ways that those characters are written, the ways that those characters are referred to in those shows, so much of the discourse and the jokes about them is about their body. It's about the ways that these characters that we are supposed to believe are women, right, fail womanhood, right? Because Shanae has a beard or mustache, because Medea's hands are so big, because insert person here is still showing us, right, in various different ways that they are a, quote unquote man. And those same types of jokes, right, that happen in a Medea movie, that happen on Martin about Shanae, that happen in some of the Eddie Murphy projects, those same jokes are the exact same things that we as trans people hear in real life, right, when folks are trying to justify the violence that they enact upon us.
We see each other. What does that mean? Why is the book called We See Each Other?
I wanted to be clear. So I should say, We See Each Other is not the title that I sold the book as. So if folks are like looking up the history of this book, it'll look like the book dropped out of the sky, because when it was announced, the title of the book was Seen, SEEN, trans lives on screen. That's what I sold the title as. Knowing that I would always change it. But to be quite honest, I went with the title for the proposal phase that I thought would be easily understood by the people potentially buying the book. But I always knew I would change it. And ultimately, I wanted the title to speak to the audience that is center of mind for me as I write, which is not to say folks who fall outside that audience can't get anything from the book. But I wanted to be clear that even as everybody else gets to, peek in and consume and also grapple with the things that I bring up, I'm writing for Black folks, I'm writing for trans folks, I'm writing for queer folks who live, love, and exist like me. So we see each other because we see each other,
Yes, we do.
I also really like the idea of, because, we see each other as, everybody, many people, I should say, think now of Candy and Nene from the Housewives of Atlanta and that meme.
Yes.
And I wanted something that Black people would say a particular way because they understood it a particular way, but that, the rest of y'all, you can see we see each other and it's fine, but the people who know, right? And so that's another thing that I was very excited to be able to do. But really, it was about making sure that, like, I'm speaking to and with Black trans folks about the types of experiences that we have had, and the rest of you all get to listen in on it, but it's not necessarily written with them and those particulars in mind. So you're not gonna get a comprehensive, history. You gonna get the things that I want to fucking talk about.
Period. Because it's my book. Okay. And we can do that. Yes, family. So that was just a small excerpt of a larger interview that I did with Tre'vell. If it sparked your interest, if you want to hear more from them and laugh with us, believe me, we had some laughs on this interview. Please go check it out on E3 Radio's YouTube page. The link is in the show notes, and you know what you got to do now, right? You got to go pre-order the book today. Let us show the power of the Queer News Podcast. Go and pre-order that book today. And if you're listening to this after May 9th, go buy the book. Yes, we all we got, family. It's your favorite queer radio personality, Aina DeShawn, and I will talk to you next week. Peace. If you enjoyed what you hear, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is a production of E3 Radio, your #1 queer radio station playing queer music and reporting on queer news in high rotation.